So I'm gonna quickly finish up here, just some quick thoughts. What I wanted to talk about today was just gaining experience. And I think that there's a lot of confusion around when to go independent, when to start setting appointments, when to start prospecting, when to start inviting to the meeting, when to start doing your own interviews, when to start doing your own very first kitchen table presentations or qualified appointments, whatever people call it, right? And to give you an idea with my start here, when I came in, we had an RVP, but he really didn't do anything. Like, he just played golf all day long, which is fine. That's he made 150 grand, he was totally happy, and he was basically retired in his lower 40s. And so my mentors were my two best friends, who I was 22, they were 24. So we're like trying to figure out this business as kids. They know nothing, I know nothing. And so my first day in Primerica, they make me do cold calls, right? Which, if you talk to wealthier people, I know that those are words you don't really want to use when you're hiring people, because people are scared that it has a bad connotation to it. But when you read books about successful and wealthy people, they say, get your kids doing cold calls, because it develops this, you kind of get used to the rejection. It doesn't scare you as much. And they say they do better if they can overcome that fear. And so they had me doing cold calls the first day. I did my first interview my third day in Primerica. And our interview used to be an hour long, where there was no slides, there was no such thing as an iPad back then. It's crazy to think, right? We had a binder, if people remember, with plastic sleeves, and we go through page by page, and it was an hour-long presentation that I had to figure out, and that was my third day. You sign an IBA, 3 days later, you're explaining to another person why they should join the company. And I was doing cold calls. And then I got a license, and Shaq took me on 5-6 appointments. And then eventually he got so busy, there was nobody else, I had to start doing my own appointments. And then I started building in attendance very quickly, and there was only 3 of us, and someone had to do the trainings here, so I started doing trainings very early too, right? So I'm not saying, oh, I was so good, that's why they made. No, I sucked at every area of the business. I was nervous, I had anxiety, I didn't know what to say. I would fight with them after. I'd be like, why'd you make me do that? That guy knew more than me, right? I used to fight all the time, because I felt that it was just inappropriate for me to be put in that position so many times in so many different areas of the business. But what I got was experience. You need experience. And experience isn't just good experience. If you're thinking in your mind, I gotta learn more, I gotta get my license first, I gotta get my securities license first, I have to see my trainer do 10 successful presentations, then I'll go out. No, you're cherry picking and you're sandbagging because you want your experience to only be good. Real experience is good experience and negative experiences. Does that make sense? That's why now it's nearly impossible to kind of throw me off with a story that you're going to tell me. There is nothing I haven't seen at the kitchen table. There's nothing I haven't dealt with recruits, right? And I'm going to get into all the stories, because some of it is very negative, some of it is very funny. I've been at kitchen tables where husband and wife drinking wine, right? Yeah. Then they drink a little too much wine, and then now they're both fighting with each other. And people have kicked me out, dogs won't leave me alone, they're in between my legs, right? There's babies, emergency calls, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Because I have experience. When you don't have experience, then things kind of throw you off. So you need experience. And the next slide here, this is what experience is going to tell you. And I want to talk about this as well. This is when you hear people in society, and they kind of throw out these professions. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's say in real estate. Okay, there's a couple different things that you can do in real estate. And I heard this interview by this realtor that was in mostly commercial real estate that was in Miami. And they asked him, they said, man, you're doing so well, but why did you choose to be a broker? And he said, because when I decided I wanted to be in real estate, and this isn't selling homes, this is like high level, right? He said, in the type of real estate that I'm doing, where we're selling high rises, right? We're building and selling high rises in Miami. These are multi-million-dollar projects. Thomas, go back.
That was my computer.
No, sorry. So the investors are people who are looking to put hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars towards projects. The developers, those are billionaires that are using all the money to build all this stuff. He said, I realized that these are very, very smart people. It's a tough group to survive in. These are very smart, rich people. It's a tough group to survive in. But he said, the brokers, it's all a bunch of jokers. And he said, I wanted to play in the pool where I could actually compete. He said, I wasn't good enough to compete with the other investors and the other developers, but I knew that I could be the person in the middle that offered good customer service, that would become very knowledgeable, right? So it's the same thing. In finance, in our industry, so I wanted to use real estate sort of as a comparison, but in our industry, you meet young kids who, they say, oh yeah, I want to be in venture capital. You don't even know what venture capital is. Right? I want to be a VC. I want to do, yeah, I'm going for IB, right? I'm going to go into IB, investment banking, M&A, mergers and acquisitions, wealth management. The thing is about these professions is the people that go into definitely these three right here, this is Ivy League. Like, don't even think about it. You didn't go Ivy League, they're not hiring you. These are the best, the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest, family backgrounds, lineage, everything that you can think of. Their test scores, right? So that and wealth management, that's a whole different pool. So people that say that they want to go into these professions, one thing that when I have a conversation, an honest conversation, and people ask me for advice, and they say, hey, it's cool that you do that, I'm going for one of these, I remind them that when you get into these industries, right, Richard, everyone's smart. Everyone's sharp. Right? Your son works at Silver for D.A. Davidson. Right? It's a high-end firm. Really high-end firm. The pool that I made a conscious decision to play in, Marco, I know I could go to Morgan Stanley. I know I could be at Merrill Lynch. I know I could be at Wealth Management. I couldn't do any of these because I didn't do Ivy League, but I know that I could do this. But why would I want to compete in a pool where everyone is as smart, but probably even smarter than me? But if I'm working with middle income people, if I can bring what I have into that market, I'm going to absolutely clean up. A lot of people are going for professions that sound good to other people. Right. That's what they're doing. Okay? Now, if you actually study these professions and the people that go into it and corporate law and all that, like where there's prestige attached to the name, many people don't survive in those industries, even if they're smart enough, because it's such high pressure. There's so many people that have gone into investment banking, mergers and acquisition, and they're like, I just couldn't do it anymore. It's 100-hour weeks. You can never get a day off. People are like, oh, I want to go work for Goldman. You don't understand what it's like to work for Goldman. So I think that Primerica, instead of people saying, oh, you only work with the middle class, dude, it's better. It's easier. The clients are more prevalent, right? And also, just like the real estate guy said, and the other people are idiots that are doing what we do. They're selling people cash value as if it's a financial plan. They're selling people IUL, where if the person just got smart enough to read the contract, they would know they're getting ripped off. Like, why would you get into a business like that? This is an easier pool, a better pool to play in the Primerica pool. If you're sharp, right, you are going to go to the top quickly in a business like this. And even if you're not sharp, we'll let you stay as long as you want until you actually get there. I was reading a book the other day where they were talking about this guy's rise through Merrill Lynch, and you have to pass all of your tests, which is like 6 licenses you have to get, all within a certain period of time, and then you have to get 15 million under management your very first year, and then you have to continue to grow 30% a year, or you're fired. There's people in here, you've been here for a year, you made 1 sale. That's okay. Because maybe 2 years from now, you're the #1 person in the office. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's the way we operate. We give everybody a shot, and you have a better, easier, more legitimate shot in a company like this in the market that we serve. Okay? So let's talk about getting experience. So become a great field trainer. When I first started, that's what Shaq told me. He was like, your goal, it's like a badge of honor. I'm a field trainer. A producer is someone who can go out and sit with clients. A trainer is someone who takes someone in their market and trains them in the field. And I remember it like the back of my hand because he said it so many times. He said, field trainers make the most money, they win all the trips, they go on all the best appointments, they have the biggest teams. You want to be a field trainer. So if I'm training Tia, who set the appointment? You. Well, if you're working with me, I'm not setting your appointment. So you set the appointment. Like Sheila, do your people set their appointments or do you set it for them? They set their appointments.
They group text me.
So okay, so you do a group text. So you do set the appointment. Okay.
Well,
maybe
for
I'll-
them, because they need to
Yeah.
check my schedules.
Okay, so it's for purpose of checking the schedule, but the
Yeah.
person's kind of already agreed.
Right.
So if I'm working with Tia, think about this. The #1 fear in sales is where am I going to find my clients? But if I'm a field trainer and I'm a recruiter, I say, oh, you want me to train you? Okay, set 5 appointments. Now she's going to set 5. Who set the appointments? You with the glasses. What's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Andre.
Andre. So if I'm working with her, right? She sets 5 appointments. She set the appointments. I didn't set them. And who were those? Were the 5 people she set the appointment with people that she knows or people that I know? She knows. Now, if we go in and get the sale because I do a great job, she made the introduction, I do a great job, we both make money. I did the work, but we split the compensation. I do the work for you, you get half. That's field training. So as long as I'm hiring and training people, Marco, how can I ever run out of clients? I can't. Does that make sense? But if you are just a salesperson with no team, you have to be responsible. Like in a traditional sales business, it's so difficult because you got to find another client. You got to keep prospecting. You better be getting referrals. I just thought to myself, hey, why don't I have 6, 7, 8 people at any given time that I am field training? And what is she getting? She's getting Samira in the field that is going to do the work for her, and she's going to get money just for sitting there. But what did I get? I got free clients and through her relationships. This is a flawless system where everybody wins. The client wins, the recruit wins, and as a trainer, I win. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You want to aspire to be a trainer. People say, I don't like sales. Well, it's a little different. What if someone brought their client, gave you a great introduction, right? And you just have to sit there and do a presentation and they're open just because of the relationship. Like, that's not the same sales that you're thinking about.
Right.
Most people think sales like, I gotta go knock on doors and sell someone a system for 40 grand to put solar on their roof. That's sales. That's sales. The people I know that do solar, just every lead is $500. Just the lead, the phone number, and then you go through hundreds. But when you close one, you make 10, 12 grand. I think that if you go on 50 appointments, I know if you've only been on 2, it sounds like a lot, it's not. If you make a decision to go on 50 appointments, it will happen and you will have a ton of experience. what will be made up in this experience? You will have people, a lot of people that buy, a lot of people that don't buy, a lot of people that buy and then, not a lot of people, some people that buy and then cancel, right? Some people that give you a lot of referrals, some people that give you no referrals. Some people that don't need insurance and just want investments, some people that want investments but not insurance. You are going to see all of this. That's how you are going to get the experience, and then you can become a field trainer. I'm not saying it takes 50 for you to become a field trainer. What I'm saying is you should aspire to go on 50 appointments. Some of them will be unqualified, right? Maybe it's just a single person. Maybe it's a single parent. Ideally, they're married. Maybe they're married and they have kids. So when I say 50, just get in front of 50 people and do the presentation and get the experience, okay? So, what are the priorities when you go on appointments? So someone is taking you on appointments. What do you want to learn? What do you want to get good at? You want to get good at closing. Closing is not being forceful. It's not being aggressive. It's just presenting data points that's helping the person make a decision that's good for them. That's it. I want to help you make a decision that's good for you. Right now you're paying, in her example, whatever, $200 a month. In mine, you're going to pay $100 a month. This is better for you in every way, short-term and long-term. I just have to get you to understand why you need to make a decision that's best for you. That's what closing is. It is not selling ice to an Eskimo or whatever salespeople say. I do not like those terms. Whenever people say, oh yeah, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. Well, you're a scam artist.
Yeah.
Who would describe themselves like that? Right? I'm not here, I can get anyone to get anything that they don't need and spend their money. That's not what we do here. Everything we do is needs-based. Right? So you got to learn how to close. So what are the different things that we hear? I don't need it. When you're new, you're like, I tried. They said they didn't need it. Right? When you get experience, you anticipate that. It's not that they don't need it, they just don't want to pay for it. Right? But when we got husband and wife there, I said, oh, you don't need it? So something, God forbid, happened to you tomorrow. You don't wake up tomorrow, your family can maintain the exact same standard of living based on your savings. They can the cars, the house, everything will be the same even if you're not here tomorrow. Because their argument for I don't need it is I'm going to live forever. Isn't it unbelievable when people say stuff like, with everything going on in the world, right? I know I'm going to live for a long time. It's just, that's one where I'm like, man. What's another close, right? That you'll need to learn how to close. People say that they can't afford it. Oh man, I know I need it. It's just, I can't afford it. Well, how much do you think it was going to cost? Isn't that a good question? I'm not saying they say it after the presentation. If they say they can't afford it after the presentation, I did something wrong. I try to sniff that out very early on because I'm not wasting my time. My time is valuable too. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like I'm not going to, right? If I can tell you can't afford it, I'm not going to press you. I'm not going to continue. Let's talk another time where things are a little bit better for you. But it's just like you just introduce the idea to people and they say that they can't afford it. Well, how much do you think it was going to be? I don't know, like $500 a month. What if it was $80? Oh, that's not bad. When people say they can't afford it, how did you know how much it was going to cost? Because what's our minimum policy, Sheila?
$30, even $35.
That's Sheila's minimum. It's 15.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, who would buy that? Who would sell
It's the Jim Lee special.
So, helping people overcome that. Yeah, I'm gonna check online. Hey Dylan, this looks cool, man. Like, let me check online, do some research. You know, there's 20 different types of policies. There's so many variations. it's going to be difficult, in my opinion, if you're not licensed and this is not something you have experience in, that you even know what to research. But let me give you a situation. Let's say that you do purchase something online, and then you pass away. What do you expect to happen? Again, you tell me. You're married, you're here with your wife, you're gonna check online, you find something online. Now let's say that I never existed because you went with the online company. God forbid you pass away and that policy has to pay out. What happens then? Do you know how that process works? What do you think's gonna happen? You're gone. What does your wife have to do? Huh?
She's gonna go work outside.
Figure out all the settlement options and all that kind of stuff.
You think that's something she's well versed in? You think that's something that she's gonna want to do at a time where she just lost you? Who is she even gonna be speaking to get it? Who?
Friends, family.
No, to get the money from the company, who's she gonna be speaking to?
1-800.
No, you're buying it online.
Yeah, there's companies too, the big companies, they're not gonna call and find out either. Like, they just won't pay it out until you contact them.
Yep.
So, you buy it today, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, what if your wife doesn't remember what company it was? Right? What if she forgot that you ever even had it? 25 years is a long time, right? Right now, today you guys are 30, it's doubling your life. A lot can change in that time. Right? Or we have the other scenario where I follow up with you every single year, you have my cell phone number, I'm not an employee for State Farm, or 2 years later I'm working for Allstate, right? I run my own business, you guys run your own business. You're gonna call my cell phone, I do all the work, I go get the money, I expedite the funds, I bring it, and I'll make sure that it's managed properly so that it lasts forever. Which one do you think sounds better? So I'm not saying online you may find something $10 more, you might find something $10 less, but I'm saying if something really happened, what experience would you want for your family? Sometimes they try to get us to really just focus on the cost, and it's like, there's so much more to this than just the cost. And that's not me saying that we're expensive, it's just, for something so important, why would we minimize it down to just the cost? Like, what research? Like, I'm showing you Forbes, I'm showing you MarketWatch, I'm showing you we're a publicly traded company. I'm just wondering, is it the cost that we're talking about? Because let's compare the experiences here. We went over the next close, which is, oh, we're good, we have cash value. They may think that, right? We laugh, but the person thinks in their mind, hey, this is the cornerstone of my financial life. Because that's what their financial person told them, right? Everything is centered around this product. You know, if it didn't pay them, Sheila, that much commission, would they be so passionate about selling this
Oh,
product?
hell no.
Right? If you got paid 5% of the annual premium on IUL, who of these people would really care about selling this and you know, promoting it so hard? It's just an egregious amount of money that they make on it. People say, one last thing in closing, people say, oh, I already have it through my job. Right? I think that's the most common one that you're going to face when marketing insurance is, I already have it through my job. Okay, well, Gabe, let me ask you a funny question. If you found a better job, better pay, with more advancement opportunities, better commute, work from home, would you take that position? Yeah, you would, right? 100%. Well, what would happen to the insurance through your job if you went to a new company? Can you see why it's better to have something private? Now remember, I'm asking. I could have said, hey, you know what happens if you find a different job, and what's he gonna say? Oh, I'm not leaving my job. Right? A lot of things, and I learned this the other day, I'm gonna do a training on it, that when you get good at things, it's called pattern recognition. So I'm like, man, every time I tell them if you leave your job, the insurance doesn't go with you, they say, I'm never gonna leave my job. So now I'm gonna do it backwards. I'm gonna say, if you found a better job with better pay, would you take it? Yeah. Well, what would happen to your insurance? It's gone. Now you say it. Pattern recognition. You do an interview, at the end, people say, oh, this sounds great, I don't have the time. So then in the beginning of the interview, I would say, hey, if you can make an extra $2,000, $3,000 a month, choose your own schedule, ultimate flexibility, ownership opportunity, blah, 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 go down the list. Would you be able to make time for something like that? Before I even get into this, I just want to ask you a general question. Would you be able to make time if I could prove to you, right? Yeah, of course, who wouldn't? Now tell me at the end you don't have time. So you recognize the patterns, right? And then what the experts do is then you create your own pattern. That's what happens in business, that's what happens in the market, that's what happens in sales, that's what happens in conversations. And the other thing as we wrap up here, last thing, you want to learn how to get referrals. So Sheila's showing you that, positive reviews, getting to center of influences. One thing about her, and I'll say that about myself as well, is for our clients, we provide a tremendous amount of time. We're always available. I'm the same way. I can be on the ski slope, I can be at the beach, I'll answer my email right away. I don't have business hours. And trust me, people are dealing with all kinds of salespeople and representatives and companies, and they see a difference with people like me and people like her. How responsive we are. Things happen, right? Clients sometimes complain, things happen. It's response time. You can say, hey, what happened, right? The payment didn't come out, and this happened, and that happened. Hey, I'm on it right now. You're right, that shouldn't happen. So it's not that everything we do is perfect, it's response time, right? So now the referral isn't just like, oh, they have a great insurance product. It's like, hey, this person's gonna take care of it. And there's various ways that if you go on an appointment with Jen, she's gonna show you how to get referrals. If you go on an appointment with Shondell, she'll show you how to get referrals. If you go on an appointment with Sheila, people have their various ways. That's a whole training in itself. But happy clients, especially when they purchase right, they can refer you to other potentially happy clients. And referrals that's where they get this term money call, because I said that a long time ago, where it's like money email, money call, like it's just money for me. It's just like what Sheila said, like I don't care what it costs, whatever. My friend said, you are the guy. I went to a 40th birthday party the other day with a big client I had that's part of a big community, and everyone was coming up to me like, oh, you got insurance for my brother or my friend, you got insurance. Hey, I need it too. Do you think they care what the quote is online, research? They don't even know the company until they get the policy. Right? So if you're out there like grinding, talking to people you know, I mean, yeah, we all started that way, but at some point, it just gets so much easier. It's a very different business than some of the ones that you guys are doing. Okay. All right, guys, appreciate your time. Let's finish out the month strong. We have week left tonight. 1, 2, 3.